Looking for better days is what I pray. They say that God don't make mistakes. Sometimes I get a little lonely because I miss my one and only. I choose the Bible and not the God. Only one life to live in this order. We've been praying through life. Yeah. And the sky is the limit, sky is the limit. You know that you keep on, just keep pressing on. Sky is the limit, you know that you can have what you want. Sky is the limit, you know that you keep on, just keep pressing on. Sky is the limit, you know that you can have what you want. Be what you want, have what you want, be what you want. The sky is the Hey everybody. This is Dr. Keisha coming to you today. This is so impromptu, but I really wanted to have this conversation, and I really wanted you all to have this conversation with me. It's such a good one, and I can't wait to have it. I'm super duper excited to the point where I wanted to share this on three. Everybody said three pages. Yes, and my YouTube. Welcome, YouTube family. Welcome, everybody on Facebook. Welcome, singles, married, divorce, and deliverance page. Welcome, Impacting Mindsets Global. Welcome, everybody. We're going to get to it. So what I'm going to do is, number one, have the conversation in regards to what happened on Ready to Love. Now, if you're under a rock, you may not know, or live under a rock, you may not know about Ready to Love. So just to wrap it up, it's a dating show. Reality show where, again, couples, Black couples more specifically, come together to try to find love. They determine if, through their dating process, if they are ready to love. I believe it comes down to like almost like a speed dating situation. And then like at the end, I think 3 couples determine whether they're compatible enough or whether they've really fallen into love, where there's potential to fall in love, to have maybe a long lasting relationship, whatever case may be. But I don't believe there's it. I don't remember how many seasons that this particular show has been running, but I believe there's only one couple that is still together since their season, or since the inception of this particular program. So I guess a lot of them, either they were mismatched and or they just weren't simply ready to love. And we all know that sometimes when you're dealing with a reality dating show, that sometimes people come on not necessarily with the intention of falling in love or really getting into a serious relationship. They may have another agenda, and so on and so on. But today I wanted to talk about the relationship, not necessarily the relationship between this particular couple that we're going to feature. I'm going to show you maybe a highlight reel from OWN. They put it out there already on YouTube. And so we're just going to try to break it down in pieces so that this video is not flagged, because I am showing this to my YouTube family as well, because I really want to have the conversation, a deep conversation in regards to the content that was shown on the show with this particular couple. Now, they're going to break down what happened on this particular episode, which I think the women that are left, the men the last episode had to introduce them to their friends. And so the women, now it's their turn to introduce the people that their potentials, just one potential, because some of them have multiple potentials that they're currently in a relationship with, but they had to choose one person to introduce to their ex-boyfriend. Okay. So of course that's a whole element of surprise. This season, they wanted to do something different. They wanted to shake it up. And so this is the shake up. The women having to find the ex, first of all, that they're friendly or have good terms, or at least, have good, on good terms with, enough to come on the show, right? That would agree to come on the show to meet someone that they're currently dating, to give them some type of feedback. All right. So on this particular episode, I do love Liz, by the way. I think she is a phenomenal woman, and she was in the process of dating David. And I believe David, I think he's a preacher, a pastor. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't look into his background, but they both kind of connected on the fact that they're people of faith. Okay. That's what was interesting to me about this particular couple, because I'm a woman of faith and I gravitate towards that. And so that's what they connected on from the beginning. And so they were dating each other. Let me go ahead and put my earphones on. know. I hear my hear me. Please let me know if you can hear me. If you can't hear me, please make that known to me. This one's hard to hear. Remove it. I guess that did work. I just have a hard time hearing myself. It seems muffled to me, but maybe that's just me. All right, let me just make sure that maybe it's just the way I have it on. All right, let me try it again. Okay, so it seemed like it is functioning. Okay, so they connected on their spirituality from the beginning of the show. And so they're at this place where there's sort of a disconnect between them. Liz is trying to figure it out. And so the ex that she chose to come on the show to support her was someone that she dated way, way back in the day, but they are friends. And so she even admitted that this individual was like a brother to her. So I'm going to show, like I said, parts of the clip that focuses on that particular dating or that particular meet of the ex of her, the guy that she was interested in dating, and the whole dynamic. And I really wanted to have the conversation about the dynamic itself because I found it to be extremely interesting. Like I said, Liz would seem to be a great fit for David, the one that the perspective, and vice versa. But somewhere down the line, there was some type of disconnect. He did get jealous because she is dating other people like everyone else is dating other people on the show. Okay. And so I think that he gave her kind of a hard time, but almost like being passive aggressive about it, not completely admitting that he still felt some kind of way because she allowed the other gentleman that she's dating to kiss her on their date. But she was honest and open about the situation. She did tell him when she did not have to, because again, this is a dating reality show. They're all dating each other. And so she did nothing wrong. But he was making her feel like she did something wrong and he embarrassed her and etc. So just trying to kind of setting it up before we actually view it. And then you're going to get a little bit of, I guess, a little bit more of an understanding. But she shared that with her friend, who happened to be her ex way back in the day, but they're like more like siblings at this point. She considers him like a big brother to her. And she invited him to come on the show so that he can give her some honest feedback about David and their relationship. Okay. So that's what we're going to view. And then we'll talk about some of the dynamics that happened between the two. I really do find this particular situation interesting. That's why I wanted to have this conversation, because I really do believe that more women need more Clarences in the world. And that's Liz's friend, the ex that came to support her in this moment. So let me highlight, like I said, the video, the clip. Let's watch it together. I'll try to break it up so we can see it, so that for those that did not watch the episode, you'll be able to see exactly what I'm making reference to. All right, here we go.
The challenge this week that Tommy gave us was to invite our ex.
This is Liz.
To sit down and talk with our number ones.
Lizzie.
Hey.
All right.
Clarence is a.
All right. So this is obviously Clarence. You all heard, this is Liz, this is Clarence. You're going to be introduced to David for those that are not familiar with the show and the premise and etc. Okay. They're on a dating reality show. Liz is interested in David. Clarence is an ex/friend/brother. Okay. At this point. And so they are friends. Now, just for some background, they did do a live, I believe it was yesterday or sometime today, kind of given some further context to their relationship. They said, I think they met in high school. So that's how long they've been friends. They tried to date. First they were friends, and then they wanted to explore any kind of romantic, situation between the two. It didn't work out. So they went back to being friends. Okay. So they are indeed friends. And another thing is Clarence is married. He is married. He's happily married. And so they're all friends together. Right. And so again, Liz asked Clarence to come on the show to support her. And he came to support her. And so that's what he's there for. I know a lot of people that watch this, which I'm going to show you more of. It's a 6-minute clip, so it's not that long. So I'll show you it in its entirety, but I'm gonna have to break it up because I don't want this video flagged. But people were going, off and saying, oh, well, maybe they still are in a relationship. Maybe he's trying to sabotage the relationship between her and David because he's still interested in her. All those things are not true. He is indeed just a friend, like a brother to her. Okay. All right. So let's continue to watch and I will give you more commentary.
Guy that just spot BS and takes no mess. We dated, but we saw that we were better off friends. And so he's almost like a big brother. I'm happy that you came because I want to talk to you about this guy. And so
all right, she's going to share with him some of her concerns. Okay. Now, some people were saying, okay, well, then you kind of put this negativity in his ear and that's kind of what set him off or whatever. Now, mind you, they've been friends like since high school or whatever. That's how long they've been friends. So, anywho, I really do feel like, again, since there's no romantic connection there, I think that he really did show up as a friend or like a big brother, like she indicated. So regardless of what she shared, he still is going to be in a protector kind of mode. But at the same time, I think that he was trying to still remain open and non-biased because he wanted to hear what he had to say. Because it could be Liz just saying it, but not necessarily be true, or, her perspective may be a little skewed or whatever the case may be. And maybe he can be a voice of reason, for David to say, well, you know what, Liz, maybe you misinterpret what he was saying. I think he was trying to be open, but he did not like what Liz shared. And I'm about to play it so that you can hear it in its entirety. Just give me a second. We're going to play it. And then I'm going to have to cut it and then again, I don't want this video to be flagged, so I have to be really careful. All right. I appreciate your patience.
Hey, David, we just click when it comes to really spiritual things. But I do have some concerns. I actually got a chance to meet his friends the other day. The date and everything was fine.
Okay, so that's David. Okay. All right. Let's continue.
But off camera, he kind of switched up on. So what yeah. What really hurt me and what really shocked me was off camera.
Okay. She's going to share what happened. Again, this is in the previous episode where the men had to introduce the women. I think the men should have introduced the women to their ex personally, but anywho, where the men had to introduce the women to their friends, and the friends were obviously asking probing questions. She was on the hot seat and that sort of thing. And during that process, she felt like David embarrassed her, whether he did it on purpose, intentional, whatever the case may be. But she felt like that, again, what he said in front of the friends was inappropriate.
David asked me what I did that day in front of his friends. And I told him, I got a chance to meet Jason's friends. Okay,
so Jason is the other guy that she's dating. Again, this is a dating show. This is a dating reality show. Everybody's dating everybody, and they're trying to narrow down who would be the ideal person for them. So this is everybody's dating everybody. David's dating other people too. Okay, so let's put this into context. So it's not like she's cheating on him. It's not like she's disrespecting their relationship. They're not technically in one. They're trying to decide as to whether they want to be in one, and they're all dating one another. Okay, so she's simply telling him about what happened that day because he inquired about it, and she's just being upfront and honest about the date that she had with Jason. Okay.
And he looked at me. He was like, "Oh, did you kiss Jason again?" In front of his friends.
Okay. So Jason kissed her. Okay. Now, for those that watched the episode, you know that Jason came on kind of strong to Liz, and he was kind of crushing on her. And so he did kiss her, and then she let it happen, and she kissed him back. But Jason was the aggressor in the situation. Okay. So she shared with David the encounter because she did not want him to be blindsided, especially if they decided to choose one another You know how you go back and you watch them replays and you start seeing some stuff that obviously you didn't see because you weren't present if the person never shared the details about their dating relationship or their dating experiences with the other cast members. If they didn't share that with you, then you could potentially be blindsided or feel some kind of way if you guys decided to choose one another, and if the person that you're currently with, if they're insecure or feel away. All right, so she told him what happened on their date when she did not have to, number one. And number two, of course, he tried to play it off, but David was not being completely honest, and she noticed that. And it's going to be based upon this interaction between her, Clarence, and David. She's going to see that he wasn't being 100% honest about his thoughts in regards to the kiss and just her dating other people in general. He seems like he has a jealous streak, or there's some aspects of control. And so she's very, very concerned at this point.
I was embarrassed because I'm sitting up here like, why would you do me like that? I shared that in confidence. So to me, that's a red flag. I want a man that I can feel safe with, be vulnerable around, and share things with. That when I share something intimate with you, you're going to protect that. That's why.
So, again, just to highlight what exactly happened, Liz was being introduced to David's friends. Again, first time meet, first time being introduced to his friends, the brand spanking new situation. And David asked, he asked Liz in regards to what she did that day. And then he asked about the dating situation between her and another man in front of the friends, and asked if she kissed him again. And again, she felt embarrassed because number one, he's putting out there that she's kissing guys. And again, the way Liz is carrying herself throughout this whole process is very poised, it's very kept, and just conservative type woman, like not loose, not in the clubs, not ghetto. And no shade to anybody, but everybody has their way of carrying themselves. And so she's been one where she's been very particular about how she's been carrying herself. So she felt some kind of way when he did that. Mind you, that she shared this in confidence. She shared with him something that she did not have to. So for him to bring it up to her, especially in front of his friends, it kind of embarrassed her and made her feel some kind of way.
Why I really want you here, because I need to see, like, what do you feel?
I don't like that already.
What's up, everybody?
Okay. So obviously, she's sharing with him, okay, I don't, he's conveying that he doesn't feel comfortable. So far, he's obviously, they've known each other, they have a history. He believes her, right? But still, I believe he still was being open, but at the same time, I believe that protector in him kicked into gear, because low key, he did kind of throw her under the bus in front of his friends and embarrassed her. Whether that was his intentions or not, that's what happened. And so, at this point, it's almost like, okay, well, let me still hear. And what's interesting, and I want you to pay attention to this, is the situation end up coming to light on its own. It's not like that he just initiated it or whatever. It was like it just naturally came to the point where it had to be addressed. Okay, so that's what I found to be interesting about this conversation. So let's continue to listen.
Hey, how's it going?
And this is
How's it
David.
going? You doing all right?
Yes,
David,
sir.
man, good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
How you doing?
I walk in, I see the gentleman on the other side of this table. So what is going on?
So this is Clarence. Me and Clarence dated in the past, and he has become one of my good friends.
This is a very interesting twist, right, bro? It ain't like every day you can say you get to meet your
Right.
interest X.
It's a pleasure meeting you, but at the same time, I have some questions.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I promise I probably would have bust out laughing. If it was my friend, I would have felt, I don't know. I would have felt away. I would have started laughing. I don't know, because when I'm nervous, I have a tendency to laugh, period. But for me, this was just plain old funny. to me because I mean, twofold. First off, Liz felt away. She felt away, and she felt like David deliberately kind of low key embarrassed her. Okay. So I don't want to say that she chose him because she knew that he was going to, like, check him or kind of like, you know, make sure that he understood that she do got friends or a support system that has her back kind of situation. Like it's kind of hard to really interpret, but I'm glad that she chose Clarence, and I'm glad that he from the gate let David know that he's here to really support her, right? And that he is a friend, right? A friend. And and that he's going to question him or to give him the hard questions that he's going to have to respond to. And that's a good thing. I think that that's absolutely a good thing because of the things that did occur previously. And also she needs to know what type of person he is. And sometimes the best way to know who somebody is to put them into a pressure type situation. When people are under pressure, usually whatever's in them, inside of them, is going to come out. And so this was good because she had the best seat to be able to see what was in his heart. And so I think this is all good in my opinion. So I'm glad that he started putting the pressure on him in the way that he did. Some people said he came across too tough. I personally don't think so, but that's just me. I think that, yeah, he could have been nicer, but if that's not his personality, as long as he was being his authentic self, which I really do believe that he was, that's to me, that's all that matters in my opinion.
Okay. So
And
then it's not a pleasure anymore, or
I like to get to the bottom of things.
for sure. I was a little taken back by this ex. My man came out the gate swinging. I got a question just to set the tone and the understanding of the relationship. Last time that there was any level of intimacy with y'all.
Now, isn't that an interesting question? When was the last time? Now you asking her again in front of the ex, you asking the ex, you asking the ex about her, about y'all, about them, whatever the case may be. I find it to be a pretty interesting question. When is the last time that y'all were intimate? Not when is the last time y'all dated, or when did y'all break up, or how deep was this relationship? Y'all, what? Give me some background about how did y'all meet? That would have even been to me a little bit more of an appropriate question. Like, could you tell me a little bit about you all's background? How did you meet? Just kind of give me some context before we move forward, because I just want to, whatever. To me, that would have been a little bit more appropriate than when was the last time you were intimate. Like, again, this particular statement, question, whatever, is an indicator that he's having a hard time. Despite of what he's saying, he's conveying, he's projecting to her, um, he's really having a hard time with Liz, with other people. Because why would you ask when is the last time you've been into? That's embarrassing. Number one, for you to ask that in front of a woman's ex or whatever the case may be. If you got that vibe that somehow that they're still, involved in some kind of way, that's a conversation that you should have, between, in my opinion, a conversation you should have in private with Liz. Like, don't embarrass her. Like, I don't think he gets the fact that him putting her on the spot is just not in front of people. I don't think that he gets that. That's just, to me, it's not appropriate. It's not safe. Just like you said, it's not safe because you're almost like you're trying to set me up to look bad. And if you care about me in any way, you wouldn't do that. If you had concerns or questions, then you can ask those questions and you can express your concerns, but it's not what you do, is how you do it. And this right here just kind of leans into the whole conversation that they had previously before he even came in the room, and why Liz is so concerned, in my opinion.
Honestly, I think we kissed one time, and that was, I can't even tell you how many years ago.
It was, yeah, it was a long
Gotcha,
time.
gotcha.
Now, mind you, they didn't have a chance, or they may have had a chance because editing might have cut those things or the other pieces off. They might have cut that part off or whatever. But in a live today or yesterday, whenever they did the live, they went into more depth about their relationship and how they knew each other from high school. So you're talking about a lot of years back. So somebody said, well, why weren't you able to pin? I think I was hearing some commentary from another content creator, and they were saying, well, you should have been able to state the the time frame in which, and the last time, not necessarily if it was that long ago, like if it was high school, like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 18, 20, I mean, depending on how far back, you may not be able to be as precise. I mean, you may be able to be general, like that's back in the day, usually when you say back in the day, most people do associate that with high school or college or whatever like that. But I guess he, again, it could have been stated, it couldn't have been, I don't know, we don't have the context, but they did clarify that in another live, that the nature of their relationship when they met and how long they have been friends, and that they were indeed friends before they had the kiss or whatever it was, um trying to explore something else, and it just didn't work out, and they decided just to be friends, and that friendship evolved into like a sister brother relationship. But unfortunately, that context is not revealed in this clip, but that's to give you a little backstory.
I connected the fact that him bringing up the kiss with Jason in front of his friends, and then meeting my ex, bringing up when's the last time you guys kissed and been intimate, that was an issue for him.
Clearly,
That tells me that
I agree.
when he told me, oh, it's not a big deal, I understand, we're good, that he wasn't truthful about that, because obviously that bothered him.
How important is communication to you?
Probably the most important thing in a relationship.
So the line of questioning at this point, I think, was just perfect, because as you will see, it's going to bring out more in regards to the situation that occurred on the previous episode. So that was a very excellent question, to really set the stage up for what's about to occur. Okay, so he stated that it's important, the communication is important. He's going to go into the why.
I love a woman that's a safe place. No
Mind you,
matter what I
safe
tell her.
place, no
So do
matter
you
what
feel
he
like you're a safe
tells
place for
her.
her?
Yes, I think I would be a safe place.
Okay, because prior to your arrival,
As you can see, this is a good segue into what happened the previous episode, right?
she shared with me, she told you something in confidence,
Okay.
kiss with somebody else. And she felt betrayed that you mentioned it in front of your friends.
Mhm.
How do you feel explaining you being a safe place
Yeah.
after doing that?
So this is more so to Liz. If you told me, Dave, just going forward, I don't feel comfortable with certain things you
Okay. Again, double standard. He wants a woman to be a safe place for him, his whatever, hide secrets, whatever, cover him, whatever. But yet, when the opportunity was presented for him to be a safe space, quote unquote, he was not that for her. He was not that at all. And now he's almost like chastising her, saying or correcting her, saying this is probably not the way to handle it. Maybe if you told me, that you were uncomfortable. No, that's not the point. The point is that you said that you wanted a safe space and that you needed that, but yet when the opportunity presented itself for him to be a safe space for her to conceal whatever she conveyed to him or told him in regards to something that she experienced, it was nobody else's business. She didn't have to tell him. But yet the moment that he felt some kind of way, he threw her under the bus and he exposed whatever it was that she didn't want the world to know. Obviously, it was no one's business. Obviously, we saw it on, obviously aired on the show, but the friends, telling exposing it in front of the friends wasn't just a roundabout way of just conveying general information. It was almost a way where he was like chastising her for allowing this man or for engaging in a kiss with this other dude. He didn't like it. That's why he brought it up in the first place.
may share, then I have to learn from you.
Did you notice what her gestures suggested in the moment?
No. No,
Did it matter?
it's not that it didn't matter. Knowing how I see you, knowing how I value you,
Mhm.
and the platform that I put you on.
Um, he doing team too much. Just saying, bruh. What should have been said? Just let's just get to it. What he should have said was, "I apologize." You know, just us having this conversation kind of brought to my attention that maybe I should have considered your feelings. Maybe I shouldn't have shared that information. Maybe you and I should have had a more deeper conversation about it. I'm going to tell you the truth. It did bother me. To me, that would have been more of an adult way of responding versus I'm gonna correct you. This is how you should handle it instead. This is how you could have did something different. Like you, again, you're deflecting. You're making it as if she's the one that has the issue when it was David that did it. He's the one that exposed her nakedness, if you will, in front of his friends, not the other way around. So it's not for you to correct her when you're the one that was in error. And to me that's a huge red flag when you're trying to talk to somebody and you're telling them how you're feeling about something that they've done, and instead of them receiving it and saying, you know what, you're right, and acknowledging it and trying to correct it or apologize and then trying to correct it, they in turn try to make you be the one that's wrong and trying to correct you for something that they did. It's just no, that's just not good at all right, so let's continue watching.
You are solid to me. I mean that. Like, ain't no other Liz.
It feels like at this moment he was not being honest, and when he was called out on it, he was trying to fix the situation by showering me with compliments. That made me very uncomfortable and very uneasy.
Absolutely. And like I said, trying to deflect, trying to make her feel like, okay, this is a teachable moment thing. Okay, well, the next time, no, there won't be one, right? There won't be a next time. You know what I mean? Because clearly, right? Clearly, you felt like you done nothing wrong. You didn't apologize. You didn't acknowledge, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't have said anything wrong. I could imagine that wouldn't be safe for me to expose that information. Like he never even once acknowledged that he did anything wrong. And to me, that's petty. I mean, the situation itself is petty. It's like whatever, but that's not the point. The point is that you did this thing, you did it again with another male that obviously I have a relationship with. It's a non-romantic one, but yet a relationship. You did the same thing by asking that question about the when the last time we were intimate. And so I just feel like there's some underlying issues. And again, if you watch the show, there were a lot of things that were brought up in regards to the other relationships that he had in the past. And so, just for the sake of fairness, I'm not going to bring that up, but it's clear that there's definitely some issues there and some areas that need to be healed. And that's in all of us. We all have them. And sometimes we don't really fully realize it until we're put in a situation by which those injuries will be touched or handled or provoked or whatever the case may be, or prodded, or, we don't know that we have an injury. I believe he knew, but I think there's certain things that I don't think that he really fully realizes. Maybe he does now looking back at this. Maybe he just, maybe he fully realizes that there's some things that, that he needs healing, yeah. And it having to do with relationships. Like I said, you're going to have to watch the episodes prior with him admitting that, I think an ex left him. And also he admitting the fear of getting into a relationship and it not working out and stuff like that. Again, we all have that. That's a natural fear to have, no shade to him. But at the same time, during this process, this is, to me, in my opinion, especially dating period, it will reveal a lot about you, where you are, what's in you. And that's just a part of the process. And if you're open to learning and growing, you can embrace that information, take that in, and really do your self work. And I really hope that he did. I'm not saying he's a bad person. He may be the greatest person in the world. But when it came to this particular situation, he dropped the ball. And so I'm really hoping that, again, he's holding himself accountable and he's admitting that he did something wrong. And not necessarily make it about Clarence or make it about Liz, or that he can take ownership for whatever part that he played in making Liz feel uncomfortable or question their relationship or their compatibility, or whether they should even try to even be in a relationship together.
I'll be honest, I have felt a disconnect with you. And it really solidified that day.
This whole conversation and you being here and her being here, I want to like just kind of bring down the strength in the room right now.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
I'm an alpha. I don't know how to be weak.
Boom. Okay. This is the part that I want to talk about. I love it. Love it. Love it. Now, a lot of folks, not a lot, but there are some folks that had a comment about Clarence making mention that he's an alpha and he doesn't know how to be weak, right? I honestly don't have a problem with this comment. I felt like it was a response to David's rhetoric in regards to him bringing down the strength. First of all, why would you, again, deflecting, making this about everybody else because now you're on the hot seat, having to give an account for the things that you've said and the things that you've done. But instead of taking it in and really receiving it and doing what's right, which is to at least acknowledge that you made her feel uncomfortable, maybe you didn't handle it properly, and you do apologize because that was not your intention, if nothing else. But instead of doing that, you're trying to correct Liz and tell her the better way to handle the situation. And then now you're trying to kind of come in on her friend by saying you want to bring down the strength in the room, which in my opinion, you don't even have the capacity to bring down the strength in the room. Because here, like I said, everybody at this table is holding him accountable or trying to at least. And so I felt like, and I believe that he was intimidated by Clarence from the onset. From the onset, he was intimidated by Clarence. Clarence, I believe, was being himself. Okay, was being himself. And it's interesting because how would you respond as a man? Would you be like, okay, let's bring down the strength? Like, what would you say in that situation? Like, would you appease him? Would you make him feel uncomfortable because he's on the hot seat? What would you do? I think that Clarence's response was perfect. I mean, because in essence, David was trying to punk Clarence. I felt like, and I don't want to use the word real man, but no guy that is a leader would sit there and be punked. I just, honestly don't believe that any guy would just sit there and just let a dude tell him he gonna bring down the strength in the room. In essence, let me tone you down, bruh. I'm gonna translate that. You need to tone that down. Like, in essence, now he's trying to correct Liz's friend. And Clarence wasn't having it. And I love it. I absolutely love the fact we need more Clarences in this world. We need more Clarences in this world. Friends that are males, that for single women that don't have a male presence necessarily in their lives, that will be there to support them and to be a friend to them and to cover them, and to protect them. Because I'm telling you, the way, again, you would have to watch the next episode, the previews of that, and just again how he's just kind of been maneuvering. It just almost feels like a control vibe, and I just see that if these two did get together, that there would be just a lot of unnecessary, drama between them because of his issues. I mean, he even brought up to one of the women that, and honestly don't have an issue with passwords and etc. and stuff like that, but he was like, saying that it's a prerequisite, like it's absolute necessary that he has passwords to everything and access to everything. And to me, I don't have a problem with that. But what I do have a problem with that is that we're not in a relationship though. Like, why is that at the forefront of your mind? You know what I mean? The reason why it's at the forefront of his mind is because he's been hurt. Somebody either cheated on him, left him for the other guy, and he's still kind of seething or still unhealed in regards to that situation, right? And so, in my opinion, as a result, he is not ready to love. So let's finish this out, and then we will continue the conversation, because I absolutely love the way that Clarence responded to the situation. I'm going to rewind it back a little bit because that's how much I loved it.
Yeah.
I'm an alpha. I don't know how to be weak.
Hello.
I just have a lot to process.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and roll. I'm gonna let y'all catch up. I didn't like that. We grown. And I want to make sure that grown people have a chance to speak to each other one-on-one.
Okay. In my opinion, the only person that's not being mature is David. He felt uncomfortable after Clarence's response and he retreated. Instead of now David should not have made the statement in the first place, because like I forestated, you kind of set it up you in your response from the beginning. All the responses to the questions, what you said, what you conveyed, what you did, you kind of set it up to that point. Even the statement prior that kind of, not, I don't want to say forced, but you kind of initiated the response from Clarence, because what guy is going to be like, okay, okay, I'm gonna tone it down for you. If you, I'm gonna calm down. No guy is gonna do that. No guy is gonna do that. And like I said, there was some commentary made in regards to Clarence saying, having to mention that he's an alpha, and they were saying, I can't stand when men do that, because when they do that, that means that they're really not an alpha or they're insecure. I didn't get those vibes, but I did. Honestly, I was here for it. I felt like that he was an alpha, yeah, and that I had no problem with him making that statement, not at all. Just to let him know, listen, bro, I'm not weak over here. There's no weak. They no bringing down no strength, because I don't know what that is. Like, I'm gonna be who I am. You can be who you are, and let's just respect that. But for you to almost essentially, like I said, chastise or try to tone me down, like, who does that? Like, who would just sit there and be okay with what David said? Like, who? I'm talking about what guy? Like, I think a woman would be like, okay, you know what? Nobody's tripping. Look, let me calm down. Maybe a woman would fall back, but not a guy, not a man's man. A man's man would not fall back, because you've essentially challenged him, by making that statement. So I appreciated the comment.
One-on-one without a third party getting involved. I don't think the dinner or this whole thing went off well. We grown.
Good.
That was intense.
He's a smooth talker. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like you on a seesaw of emotions. He know what to say to make you feel some type of way. This is my thing, though. If you're going to be one way with me in private and someone totally different in public, then how do I know who the real you is?
Yeah.
Period. Okay, so let's talk. All right. I thought this was great. I think it's important, because while you're dating, you're still trying to discover if the individual that you're in a relationship, if number one, you guys are compatible, suitable for one another. Okay. And I think the situation was perfect, because she had an opportunity to really see another side to him, which I believe that situation really helped her to make a decision. And I believe the decision was to, put her attention more towards the other guy that she's dating also, because I don't believe that David is really ready for a relationship. There's some healing that obviously needs to take place in his life. And again, no shade. We all have been there. We're all there. where there's still some stuff that we don't fully realize that's still injured, or that still needs to be healed. And I really do believe that with the relationship, not only with her, but maybe some other women, I think there were some other encounters that was like really, really cause you to walk away scratching your head because of some of the things that he said in the conversation. And how he wanted to take his time and he's not going to rush to a decision, which you should take your time and not rush. But due to the premise of the show, it's like you only have a set amount of time to decide whether you want to make I don't want to say a commitment, but to decide as to whether you're going to continue to date this person in real life, you know what I'm saying, or off the show. You only have a set amount of time to make that decision. So if you're a person that is a slow to decide kind of individual, then maybe, just maybe, this isn't the show for you. You know what I mean? And then again, like I said, sometimes you really don't know where you are in terms of your healing journey until you get into a situation or an encounter, right, that will provoke some of those areas or touch those injuries. You won't know until you get into. That's why I encourage people to date. Not date necessarily to try to just jump into something, but just to see where you are. I believe that is a good test for a lot of folks, especially folks that haven't dated in a while, or you just, let's say you just came out of a relationship that was serious, or whatever the case may be, that you put time into that didn't work out. I believe that dating will allow you to see yourself, and it will cause you to take a really good long look, and prayerfully you can make some adjustments if need be in terms of your readiness for something more serious. Again, unless you're just dating to be dating or dating just to have fun, depending on what your intentions are. But if your intentions, and I believe the intentions of most folks on the show, is to find love that will lead to marriage. I believe that's what their intentions are. And so in a situation like that, I believe that dating will help to bring to surface whatever stuff that may be in you that's still undone, you know? And so I think it's great. Like I said, I commend Clarence for saying what he said. I commend him for asking all the hard questions and for having David on the hot seat. I think he did need to give an account for the things that he said in front of his friends about Liz and his actions. Because again, it's a double standard. How can you say that you want a woman to protect you and to be a safe space for you emotionally and otherwise when you're not willing to do the same? I think that people that are really, really interested in being in a relationship really have to consider those types of things. If you're not willing to reciprocate certain aspects of a relationship, then it's just better that you just date casually or that you remain alone. Because if you're not willing to do the same things that you're requiring of others, or these expectations that you have may be realistic, but if you're not able to reciprocate it to your partner, then that to me is a problem. And so we all need somebody like Clarence, especially if you're single, and a good friend like Clarence will be, to me, will come in handy. Because some of these brothers need to be checked. I'm just saying. And or if you had a female version, because some of those, especially the friends that were on the show for the guys, some of those women, they didn't hold back. They asked some very hard questions. They put the women on the hot seat. They didn't bite their tongue. They were still respectful, but they asked hard questions. And to me, that's what it's about. Sometimes your friends or people that are not close to it, they can see things that you can't see. They can be a voice of reason, another set of eyes and ears, and that you may need, because again, once you get emotionally involved, you may not be able to see the red flags that your friends that are fresh, that have a fresh set of eyes and a fresh set of ears, things that they can pick up that you missed because now you're entangled emotionally. You know what I mean? Perhaps. So I think it's a good thing. But I do appreciate Clarence's approach. And I know that he's getting a little bit of pushback because he did mention the whole, aspect of being an alpha male. I don't have a problem with that. To me, he was being just that. He was helping her, being a support to her, and, and not allowing David to kind of bulldoze her, emotionally, I'm glad that he was there for her, because if it had been another type of guy, they kind of would have let that slide. They wouldn't have said anything, or they would not have, just been the right kind of support for her. I think she chose the right kind of friend to come and be a support to her, even though they are probably more friends than him being an ex, but he still qualified as an ex because they did make an attempt to date each other. And to me, that sometimes just solidifies a friendship when you know that that relationship can just outlive that hiccup, the romantic connection that they tried to form, but yet they came to an understanding that it's just not in the cards for them to continue on in that vein, and that the friendship is something they want to preserve. And I believe on a live that I was just listening to, relatively recent, that they've been friends since high school. So that to me is kind of dope. I'm glad that he came on the show. Like I said, we need more men like Clarence, because in truth, a lot of us women are not covered. We're just out here. And so having a friend like that you can at least come and that you can bring and introduce your potential to, is kind of cool. I wish I had a Clarence like that. So funny, because I had a good friend and we were super duper close. And he kind of reminds me a little bit of Clarence, because if I would bring a guy that I was dating to him, he would be like that too. Just no nonsense, like friendly though. He would be friendly. Hey, bro, look at the hand, get that little dap on and everything. He would sit and look and observe, and and then after, the brother would have left, he would have gave me his assessment and told me the real, like I ain't feeling him, or I don't trust that he's sincere. Like, I've had friends like that. They kind of still in my life, but we don't have the same type of relationship. But I kind of miss that, because sometimes you do need that male perspective, especially while you're dating, especially if you don't have maybe brothers that are accessible, that are in your life like that. It's just dope to have that kind of friend. And that just kind of reminded me of a friend that I had that was just like that. People that I dated, and he was like, I ain't feeling them. And this, the friend was married and, in another relationship, because you know how people do. Sometimes when you have close male friends, people just assume that you've been romantically involved or sexually involved, when that wasn't the case. I know with my friend, he was my best friend, and we were never romantically involved. We weren't sexually involved or anything like that. And so, but you sometimes get, a bad rap because of you being so tight and so close. People would just assume that there's something more going on when there's not. You just have a genuine love and respect for one another. And so I totally understand it. I think it's dope. Have been there. I just kind of miss my friend at this point, because it's just good to have that energy in your life. Somebody that's really got you, and they got you, and there's no false pretense. You know what I mean? They're not just waiting in the wings for you to fail so they can just pounce on you and take advantage of your weakness. Nah, somebody that's legit, somebody that's firm, somebody that's strong. They have a foundation. They care about you. They're going to protect you and other people that are connected to them. I mean, hey, we all could use that. We all could use that. And so I just wanted to have that conversation. I just felt like in this situation, ladies or gentlemen, when you're in a situation where a person is constantly trying to manipulate you, or they're trying to flip the script or gaslight you or make you feel like that you done did something wrong when you did not, you got to be mindful of those things. You got to be careful of those things, because that is indeed a red flag. And so you have to address it. You don't want to ignore it or to kind of, push it off to the side. You need to address it. And trust me, if you address it properly, it's going to show you one or two things. It's going to show you their willingness to make the adjustment, the willingness to grow, the willingness to, if necessary, get some additional help and support. If there be any injury or things within them that need to be healed, it's going to either bring that out, and or it's going to cause them to deflect. It's going to cause them to act out and or make matters worse. Either way, it's a good thing, because if they act out, act inappropriately, say things that are inappropriately, you want that to happen, from the onset of the relationship, rather than once you get deep into the relationship. It's so deep that maybe, you'll have a hard time trying to pull out of it. So it's better that it comes up. It's better that it rises up to the surface. And that's what he does. It brings stuff to the surface. And so I believe that's what happened. And that's what we saw on this particular episode. A little heat was applied. And in so doing, some of the things that was in his heart began to manifest. And so, yeah, I think that Clarence was a perfect person to bring, because somebody that's not an alpha would not have stood their ground. They might have they may have shrunk back, and may have allowed for him to dominate the situation, inappropriately dominate the situation, because in essence, he felt intimidated. That's why he was speaking to the strength in the room. It's because David was intimidated by the strength in the room. And so therefore it was too strong for him. That's why he felt the need to tone it down, or try to attempt to tone another brother's strength, when how on earth are you going to try to tone another brother's strength? Like, for real? And think that that's okay. So he was setting himself up for failure, in my opinion. But I just found that interesting. But I'm just saying, ladies and or gentlemen, if you have somebody in your life that things come up, and you're gonna have to deal with that. You're gonna have to handle it. Don't ignore it. And if they're unwilling to hold themselves accountable, if they're unwilling to do their work, then it is what it is. They're just not ready for love. Period. So that's it. I've talked long enough, but thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. I just thought it was a really good clip. I thought it was a very good episode. How everybody had a chance to meet the exes of the ladies. And I want to say all the exes were just super dope. I mean, they were super chill, good sports. They weren't trying to throw the ladies, under the bus like David did. They were really they were really polite, and they answered the questions, because the men had an opportunity to ask the ex questions too, in regards to the ladies. And they were honest, they appeared to be. The women didn't come behind them and try to clean it up. To me, the exes that were chosen to participate were, to me, the best exes that they could have chosen, because they were good sports and they were just open and honest. Now, there was a lot of other drama in the episode that didn't relate or pertain to Liz and David, but you got to see the episode, because there was another situation that relates to church, as a matter of fact, where the guy that I forgot the names of folks, but it was another couple, and the guy just says that he had a bad experience with church, even though he did go to church at once. I think he said he might have been raised in a church, had bad experiences, and so he's not too churchy or into that right now in his life. But the other lady that he's dating was a former first lady. She got a divorce, obviously, and so now she's on this dating show. So it's like, they're trying to vibe, they're trying to connect, they seem to be interested until this conversation. And now, in meeting her ex, it's coming out that he really doesn't want anything to do with like church on the level that she wants him to have, something to do with church. And so they don't have the same mindset when it comes to church, religion, and faith. I did hear a live of his name is Ron, by the way, but he did make a live later that said that he would go to church with her and that he would pray with her. What he was meaning when he made the statement, because if you watch the episode, he did make some statements that would make anybody cringe, because he was like, I'm not going to pray about it. I'm just going to be about it. I mean, some of the statements that he was making was definitely very cringeworthy to a person of faith. And it's like, it was a total turnoff the way he was responding, but he was being defensive. And there was a reason, but you would have to watch that episode. So because of that, obviously, I don't believe they worked out. But in the beginning, they seemed to be vibing until that came up. So, and again, I think in dating, what you will discover is what you need and or what you don't want in your life. And for her, even though she was saddened because she did have this expectation of wanting to be with him or whatever, because he was, I think, in my opinion, he was kind of safe. You would have to watch the episode to see what I mean, because there was somebody else that she actually was feeling more, but she chose him as her number one because he was safe. but his unwillingness to comply with that side of her, that, not walking together, how could two walk together unless they be in agreement, be not unequally yoked. So in her mind, she felt like that relationship would be an unequally yoked type relationship and they weren't walking together, so it wouldn't work anyway. But again, his mindset, a lot of brothers have that mindset where they feel like, oh, I'll pray, but I'm also going to be about that. But the point is that you kind of need both. You need to be assertive, and you also need to be prayerful. And I definitely see her point. Again, this is another couple, her point about being concerned about the statement that he made. He needed to clear it up, but he just did not have the patience to clear it up. I think if they would have had maybe another conversation, because I think they tried to have another one and it just got progressively worse because he got more defensive and it just went from bad to worse. And so, but I think if they were off camera and they had a heart to heart, maybe she would have gotten a little bit more clarity, because when he did a live on it, which was relatively recent, he did clear it up and he said, I would pray. I do go to church. That's not true. So he was trying to defend and clarify. And it may have been editing, I don't know. But whatever he said, what we watched seemed to be very cringeworthy and it made her feel uncomfortable. And she walked away from the conversation believing that he's not a true believer, or he's not as much of a believer as she would like for him to be in order for him to be the head of her household, and rightly so. So you can walk away from it saying, I know what I want. I know what I don't want when it comes to my faith, when it comes to religion and spirituality. If a person that I'm trying to connect with is not on the same page, then it is what it is. To me, it just shows what needs to be seen. And so you can govern yourself accordingly, but don't try to compromise. And I think that she would have did like really bad by just simply accepting his justification and moving forward with the relationship, knowing full well that it will never work if that was indeed his mindset in regards to approaching to God. And I think he said something about masculine divinity or something like that. It was very interesting, a comment that he made about masculine divinity, that she's not accustomed to having that in her life. I mean, it was becoming very offensive because I guess he felt very uncomfortable. And so I just thought that was interesting. What you mean masculine divinity? What do you mean? Like, it was just, like I said, it became a very defensive kind of energy he was giving off, because I guess maybe he may have felt attacked. I don't know. Or maybe he just was under too much pressure. But again, what did we say? Pressure is good in a relationship. Not all together every day you being pressured, but some good, healthy pressure is good for a relationship, because it will allow some things to surface that you need to see. You need to see how they're able to handle pressure. You need to see them angry, because you need to know what you can handle and what you can't. And so I thought it was good. It showed the fact that she thought one thing, but another thing came up. And that thing was that they just were not equally yoked at all. And you can't make somebody be something that they're not, especially when it comes to a relationship. You have to believe them. And that's not to say that later on down the line, he won't evolve and he won't accept faith or whatever the case may be, or grow in his faith or consult God or even be more closer to God later on down the line. Who's to say? But you do have to make a decision based on the information that you've gathered. So if this is all the information I have, unless I have some spiritual intel from heaven, I can only base it upon what you provide in terms of your behavior, what I'm observing, what you're saying. That's all that I have to go with, in addition to prayer. So he better thank God for prayer. But yeah, so in that situation, it's like I said, it's good to date, because you will see what you either want or what you don't want in a prospective relationship with the person that you're considering. And so it's all good. So anyway, I'm done. Thank you so much for tuning in. Feel free to watch the episode. I believe you can find it on YouTube. It's Ready to Love, and I believe it's episode 8, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, you'll have to catch it. But it was definitely a pretty good episode. So I'm looking forward to the other episodes. And that's it. I'm ready to eat. I don't know about y'all. I haven't ate dinner yet. And but I appreciate you all for tuning in. Shout out for those that are watching from my YouTube. Shout out for those that are watching from the group page, Singles, Married and Divorce and Deliverance. I appreciate you. And those that are watching from I'm Global or Impacting Mindsets Global. That's me. I appreciate you guys for watching. Give me some hearts, give me some likes, okay? And feel free to make a comment. What do you think? Do you feel like Clarence was doing too much? Do you think that if you're an alpha male that you don't have to keep saying it? Or he didn't keep saying it, he only said it once, but I felt like the situation almost merited it. Like I felt like he was justified in saying it, where some people may say, oh well, if you are one, you don't have to say it. What do you think? I don't have a problem. Like that's like somebody saying if you king, you don't have to say you king. Like if you're the president, you don't have to say that you're the president. I mean, I don't know. If you're the boss, you don't have to say that you're the boss. If you're the mother, you don't have to say I'm the mother. If you're the father, I don't, you know, I don't know. How do you feel about that? I feel like that sometimes making this the statement or the distinction or stating the fact, to me it could be relevant. I think it could be merited, you know, in certain situations, and it doesn't mean that you're any less than that because you made the statement. I mean, honestly, I felt like it was great. It was great for TV. It was entertaining. But yeah, I felt like he was being challenged, so he just said, listen, no, I'm not going to tone. I don't know how to tone my strength down, you know. And so that's basically what he was saying in a nutshell. And he seemed very authentic to me, and no qualms over here. As a matter of fact, like I said, and I'll stick to that, we need more men like that. Low key. Okay. All right, guys. Have a good night. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, this is Dr. Keisha. Follow me on all social media. You can follow me on Instagram. You can also find me on Facebook. And you can go subscribe to the website, which is Impacting Mindsets Global. Check me out there. And if you happen to need any relationship coaching, any personal development coaching, or any educational coaching, business coaching, feel free to hit me up. You can sign up for a free consultation. I'll be more than happy to oblige. All right. So until next time, have a good night. Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing. Shameless plug. We have an event scheduled for tomorrow evening. We have a live that we're going to be doing, and we're going to be talking about blended families. So if you're not doing anything, feel free to tune in on this Friday, which is tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, be here for the conversation. Me and my guest, overseer Dr. D, and her husband, Deacon Forbes, will be coming together to have that conversation. So you are welcome to chime in and to join us. We will be streaming from StreamYard as well. So if you catch the stream, yeah, feel free to come in and join us and join the conversation, especially if you're in a situation by which you're in a blended family situation and you're having some conflict, or you don't know how to manage it, or you can use some advice or some support, or you're considering getting into a situation by which you're going to blend your family, or maybe you're open to being married or in a relationship with someone who has children from prior. This is definitely a conversation you want to tune into. So I'll be happy to see you on Friday. All right. Okay. I think that's it. I think that's all. So have a good evening. Until next time. Bye.